Alrighty, Monday, March 25th, quick session recap here. Overall, a much slower session, but that is what we were expecting this morning. If you're in the pre-market prep live stream, we talked about the probability of a slower session today being that there was no real data. It is Monday. We are coming into what is going to be a shortened week with the markets closed on Friday. So big picture context, what we're looking at here is a daily time frame breakout triggered by FOMC. If the breakout moved there on Wednesday, the market makes a local high on Thursday, and now since then price in the near term has entered a downtrend. Now this is perfectly normal anytime you have a big breakout like this, right? It is pretty healthy to see some type of retest of the prior breakout point. Price continues to just show that kind of drift action lower. Now, no real big volatility currently, or at least over the past few days. Just again, a very, very slow drift. What I'm keeping an eye on currently is the shape of this market structure here. Series of lower highs and lower lows. Ultimately, really paying attention to how price resolves versus this area right through here, which is the 50 to 61% fib retracement. That is typically going to be considered a buy zone when we're talking about Fibonacci retracements. If this area ultimately fails, what we'll be looking at is the prior breakout point right through here. So price attempted to show a bid through here earlier today. We did have some, I'll say, decent action versus our main level of interest, which was the 5280. Can kind of, if I remove some of these drawings here, you can kind of see the intraday action versus that 5280. So level of interest continues to work nicely. Look at the action versus 5280, right? Now into the close, seeing some selling, but not making a fresh session low. So just a true range day. True range day price today. Let's see what the range actually is. 14 points. Quite tight. Not even half of an ATR. So overall, this action, again, quite slow. Definitely, this is, unless you are, highly experienced with scalping, this is the type of day that you want to be sitting out and just doing less, waiting for that fatter pitch, waiting for better opportunities, right? There's a couple opportunities within a session like this that you could scalp, but ultimately, from a mental capital perspective and even a trading capital perspective, most of the time, depending on your skill level, it is going to be a better day to be just staying in cash, waiting for those stronger opportunities. And I will say I do expect most of the week to kind of show some action like this. Again, it is a shortened week. We don't have a lot on the calendar this week as far as news is concerned. So be looking for that chop this week, be prepared for it, and trade accordingly. Definitely, if we do see that chop, you need to be changing your trading behavior, right? As far as Tuesday, tomorrow, what I'll be looking at is pretty much same as what we're looking for today. We want to see how this 5280 area continues to develop, mostly focused on this near-term downtrend. For a change in character, what we need to see is price trading up through this 5288, 529 area right through here. Until then, just continue to expect that slow drift lower. Won't be surprised whatsoever to see a retest, down into 5267 or again, potentially that 5255. Again, that's not a market call. That's not a crystal ball or anything like that. That's just reasonable expectation when you are dealing with this type of setup right through here. Now, as far as NQ, setup remains quite different, right? NQ never triggered that daily time frame breakout. You have a fresh all-time high made, but just trades lower. Very similar in that regard to ES minus the breakout. Now, NQ, the main watch today was 18,500 as the primary level of interest. That was also that prior day low. You do have an initial push lower off the open. I had mentioned this morning in the pre-market prep live, I would not be trading that first opening move. Did not place a trade until after 10 a.m. So did not catch the true low for today's session on NQ, but still put together a decent day here in NQ. The action was definitely a little bit better than what we saw in ES. The interesting thing to note here in NQ is take a look at the bounce point. We're talking about the FOMC low up into Thursday's high, testing that 61% fib retracement. Like I just mentioned on ES, the 50 to 61% fib retracement is typically considered a buy zone, right? Now the challenge for right now and for buyers is that number one, price is located near the range high, right? It's not coming off of support. Support is down here. And very similar to ES, there is a near-term downtrend, a series of lower highs. So mostly continuing to monitor this structure. 18,500 is going to be definitely a key level of interest to be keeping on watch for tomorrow. That'll be the primary level that I'll be looking at, again, depending on any type of overnight action, right? As always, expecting another slower session tomorrow, but the range here on NQ definitely much better. NQ has definitely been showing some better action compared to ES. So if you're not watching NQ, you're only watching ES, you probably want to be keeping an eye on both. Get some screen space for NQ allocated so you can watch some of these easier money setups like this pullback into VWAP right through here on NQ with the 18,500 level of interest. That's going to be a layup trade. Definitely need to be in that trade. So little suggestion there on NQ. Definitely keep some eyeballs on it. 18,500 main level of interest for tomorrow on NQ. For individual names, we have MU. This was killer today, was on the watch list. Showed a push into that PT1 and PT2 with continuation. Did not have a PT3 listed on this. MU will be looking for the second day play tomorrow. And then we have Robinhood looking for the breakout here in Robinhood. So hope everyone had a good Monday. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM in the Traders Think Tank. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning for the pre-market prep live stream. Have a great evening.